All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are enjoying our first ever YR Alumni weekend so far. Today, I'm joined with YR alum Justin Groenert, who is going to talk today about his experience in YR, how he has carried the YR legacy on throughout his life, and seeing what sort of things he's up to today. So, Justin, how are you today?
Great, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. All
Awesome.
right. So, we're going to kick it off. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're up to today?
Sure. So I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am the Vice President of Public Policy for the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. In that role, I am sort of the organization's lobbyist and sort of run point on all the public policy activities, um, policy creation, implementation, that sort of thing for the Chamber of Commerce. We represent some 2,000 businesses in Southeast Tennessee. So there's never a dull moment, certainly.
For sure. It sounds like such an interesting job. All right. So how involved were you in YR?
So I started YR when I was a junior in high school. Went through Snowflake, which was Memorial's program that we sort of worked on through Teen Power and the grants and all of those things. And was fortunate enough to be a youth staff for a year, then did 2 years as a college staffer, and then have been back a couple of times as an adult staffer. So I've kind of seen it through all of the lenses you can see it through. Um, yeah.
Awesome. So like what kind of skills did you learn like through your time as a youth staffer at YR that have stuck with you like throughout your life?
Sure. I think the biggest thing that sticks with me is learning to get out of my comfort zone. If that's forgetting or losing something during camp and having to, sizzle like bacon on stage, or create a superhero and dress up like Superman and run around stage during morning show. So really, even as a youth staffer and family groups, and some of those moments that get a little tough, you're not really in your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And those are really valuable lessons, and everything from empathy to leadership to just how to be a better person, and how to make friends with people that you wouldn't necessarily normally hang out with, maybe.
Mhm.
Those are all things that were very valuable. And in my line of work now, being a lobbyist and having worked, sort of in politics, all of those things are really sort of fundamental to what I do on a daily basis. So it is really one of those, Teen Power specifically is one of those programs that I look back fondly on, and I'm certainly proud that I can, come back every now and again and still be welcomed and get to see sort of this next generation keep that tradition going.
Awesome. And like you touched on it a little bit, but the next generation, recently you came back to volunteer this past high school camp as an
Yeah.
adult staffer. What was it like to see the next generation of youth resources leaders carry on the legacy that you helped build?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It brings back a lot of memories, and obviously, we're 20, 22 years later, and camp doesn't feel a whole lot different, which
Mhm.
is amazing. I think that's really one of those incredible, unique qualities about YR and about youth resources, and Teen Power specifically, is like what was there is still there, and what fundamentally makes it Teen Power, and what makes it YR really, um, isn't a whole lot different than what it was when I was going through it, which is remarkable. You
Mhm.
sit through morning show, you sit through the speakers, you know eat the mediocre food, and you eat pizza every day for 4 days straight.
Mhm.
All of those things are just it's really remarkable, and it's a lot of fun to see sort of these next, and I've it's been probably, I think I've been an adult staffer for 4 or 5 camps
Mhm.
since, and um, it really is kind of wild to sort of know that as much as time has changed and how much, my generation's different than your generation, that it's still fundamentally at its core the same thing that it always was. And to see the kids that are involved and to see them as passionate as we were when we were
Mhm.
going through it, that to me is the coolest part of it all. Is just to be able to see a new generation of of people that are investing into an organization and investing into each other,
Hmm.
um, in ways that, you turn on the news, man, it's not always fun to sort of live in this society. And it was very, very useful for me to see that there is a group of young people that are dedicated to their communities and to each other. And I took as much out of it. I probably took more out of it than I probably gave to camp this year. And I don't really mind saying that, actually.
That was a really good answer. So what does it mean to you to be a YR alum?
Again, so much of the experiences that I had back then and have continued to pick up through my relationships, knowing Fergie, knowing Bailey, knowing the folks that sort of Ann Burnworth and some of those folks that came before Ferg. Um, all of those lessons and all of those relearning of those lessons have been critical to me getting where I've gotten professionally. Um, so again, I can't say enough about the work that YR does, to the team there. I think one of the unique things is just how homegrown the staff is, right?
For sure, yeah.
You think about Ferg being, having gone through the whole program, Bailey, Lauren French. I know there are some that I'm probably not going to remember, but you look at the roster of the staff and how they've all been through it before. It just speaks volumes to the work that the organization has done, the caliber of people that it recruits for youth staff and college staff. You look at guys like Jim Martin, you look at Kelly, who Kelly and I were in camp together, and on youth staff together and on college staff together. You look at sort of those ties to those people that keep coming back year after year, and it just shows the incredible work that the organization does.
For sure, yeah. I'm actually going to interview Kelly a little bit later, so we'll see what she has to say about you. So
make sure that you edit out the bad things, if you don't mind.
For sure, yeah. All right. Okay. Last question. Let's end it on a fun one. What is your favorite memory that you've had from being a student at YR?
A lot of those stories probably shouldn't be told. A lot of them surrounding a lot of caffeine and the last night of camp. But what I think, having gone through it again this summer as an adult staffer, just again, sort of going through the fact that camp hasn't changed all that much. The formula is there, and to sit through morning show and then you sort of remember, one of the skits, or you remember someone that you haven't thought about in 20 years because you remember the one thing that happened during morning show once, or you're talking to Kelly, who is, the encyclopedia of all of the YR facts from our time, and she remembers a story. Monkey Bucks is a great one. On college staff, we had a little too much fun with this thing that the youth staff did and kind of got in trouble for it. So some of those things, and it was all in good fun, and they keep letting me come back, so I apparently didn't break too many rules. But for me, it's just sort of it's so similar to what we went through in the late 90s that you remember stuff randomly, right? And you think about things like the candlelight ceremony. I mean, the culmination of that week and what you go through as a youth staff and as a college staff and as a family group, and you sort of watch that culmination happen with folks your age that get it, that sort of got out of it what we got out of it. To me is as rewarding as anything. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Awesome. Great answer. All right. So that's going to conclude our first YR Alumni Weekend interview. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining me today and letting me ask you a few questions.
I'm just glad I'm the first one because the bar is now set pretty low and everybody else can just, surpass it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks again, man.
Hey, appreciate it, Sam. Good to see you again, and hope we can catch up sometime soon.